Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from Crown Plaza Hotel. Now, you've probably heard the word creative thrown around several times, especially when referring to an artist or a designer or dancer or filmmaker. The list can really go on. So what is in a name? Is a creative someone who has refused to conform to the drudgery of a 9-to-5, or a visionary, eclectic genius who just found a nifty way to make money? Well, I have a whole panel of lady creatives who are ready to share their journeys and hopefully inspire you. Let's meet them now. Chirwan Nancy, or Chella, is our fine artist working primarily in the medium of painting. Her brushes have painted canvases, paper, walls, and even people. Her art has been exhibited at the Kosh Fest in Korogosho, in Mombasa, and the Railway Museum. Janice Iche is a singer and songwriter from Mombasa. At just 8 years old, Janice threw her first concert and has been gracing stages all over the East African region ever since. Janice has done several collaborations with her peers in the music industry and is currently working on her debut project. Stephanie Babachi is the executive director at the Mau Mau Collectives and an independent consultant on brand and brand experience. With a wealth of experience working in Johannesburg and Dar es Salaam, Stephanie hopes she can help cultivate creative independence, individuality, Pan-Africanism, and art for social change here in Kenya. Gina Mutune is a film producer and director who is passionate about telling different Kenyan and African stories to a global audience. She is the founder of PEG Entertainment, the company behind Leo, a film that chronicled the life of a Kenyan boy who wanted to be a superhero. Gina has over 10 years' experience under her belt in the film industry, having screened her work in major film festivals around the world. Hashtag Victoria's Lounge is how you can chime in to the conversation on social media. As usual, I'm really excited for this one. I have an energetic panel of ladies. They are creatives, and why not? We expect this kind of energy, but we're kind of getting to know you all. I'll start with you, Gina. You are our filmmaker.
Yes.
And we know you best for Leo.
Right.
Great film. But how did you get started? How did you get into the film industry?
Well, I guess it's more of a calling, because I was that kid who directed Kalongo. When my friends, we were playing house, I'd be like, this story is not interesting. Let me play the villain, and then I'm going to chase you guys around. I'm serious. I did this, yeah. And then, of course, I was very visually, I remember everything, in pictures. And so, yeah, so when I read books, like, images would pop up in my mind. So I would do it, but I didn't know what I was doing. I would direct plays in school. I would write. I would do the drama projects. I was in leadership. I tried to form my first company at 11 years old. Yeah, with an Archie's Club.
You were so ambitious,
Yeah, but I was just doing these things. I just didn't know. But you know how hard it is to raise funding for a film? I always tell my mom, you should have allowed me to establish that business at 11.
Right.
Yeah.
Because by this time
I would be shaking hands with Steven Spielberg, Yes. So yeah.
And Stephanie, you are the executive director, of course, of the Mau Mau Collectives. Take us through what that is and how you got into the creative space.
I was also young and loving art, loving expressing myself. I always painted, I was always following to music, and as a professional I entered the advertising industry. So I found that 3 years working here, mainstream media was very shallow for me. There is no reaching out, there is no true person, the stories are all fabricated. And then that's when I quit and I met Robert. So Robert is the founder of Mau Mau Collective. And what Mau Mau Collective stands for is individuality as an artist, Pan-Africanism, and art for social change. So now I was thinking, what a great experience to be able to do something I love and give back to the community.
Right.
Yes.
I wonder, because you mentioned, that was a hit on mainstream media.
Yeah, I know.
But it is true, though. There is an element of we don't go deep enough.
Yes.
And I do get the frustration of a lot of creatives who are in a 9-to-5 and trying to figure out, I'm more than this.
I'm more, yes.
And there's more that I have to offer and contribute
Absolutely.
to society. And you kind of explained I needed to get out, but just kind of talk about that, because it's leaving security, it's leaving structure.
It is.
To get into something that you want to do and love to do.
And love to do. Well, I studied in South Africa and did graphic design.
Okay.
So I spent some time in Tanzania working at a magazine. And I was naive in thinking, okay, I'm going to enter the system, I'm going to learn how things are done properly. So I started from DTP and went all the way to now directing the shoots and editorials and so on. When that fell through, I came to Kenya and I was like, listen, I'll start again. Because it's something I love, I'm willing to understand how the industry works.
Yeah.
So I got a job, I started from DTP again, even if I had the experience. And as I started to progress, learning other things, then finally getting into strategy, I realized that my voice as an independent artist is not being respected. So I'll come up with all these great things, all these great ideas, and in the boardroom, everyone's like, fantastic.
Yeah.
But then when you see what's actually pitched to client, you're like, wait, I thought we had an agreement. So you find like you're doing all this work for nothing. And you find that you have to conform, your ideas have to fit a certain structure, they have to come out in a certain way for it to be accepted. And I felt that was suppressing a large part of me. So I felt like I've hit a wall, it can't get worse than this. How about I just go out on it on my own? And I'm loving it. Having my own time, meeting my own clients and making them understand. Please respect my creativity and as respect that I know what I'm doing.
Janice, you are our singer.
Yes.
How did you get into it? Of course, you have to have a natural ability to sing, but I mean, how did you get into it?
Well, I've been singing my whole life for as long as I can remember, but I took it seriously in 2015 when I decided to join Sauti Academy. So yeah, that was my first step into getting into it, and it did help me. Took me to the right direction, and yeah, I just launched myself from that. And shortly after joining Sauti Academy, I threw my first gig by myself with a student friend of mine, and we did it together. And since then, in the crowd was a producer whom I work with a lot now. His name is Jinku, and Jinku met me there and he invited me to go into studio, and then since then it's just been ongoing.
So would you say like your growth was organic, or there's a lot of luck, you know, just being in the right place, the right time?
Oh my, you know what, this music industry, there's a luck plays a really huge part in this, because I mean, of course I can sing and I was performing and stuff, but if the right people weren't in the audience, or I wasn't in the right place, then no one would have heard of me yet. So yes, for sure.
And the fact that you took initiative, you know, you put a concert up and invited people. So you said, listen, if you're not going to give me a gig, I'm going to make my own.
I mean,
you know,
at that point, no one knew me. So you just have to make the decision yourself and do it. Make it your name out there. Chella, you're our artist, and it's so fitting. You have all the colors, the jewelry, but you know, you're in fine art. I know for me, if I dared to even do what you do, it looked like a glorified stick figure. But I mean, where did you get your inspiration from to really kind of get into it seriously?
I first hated writing notes in school and stuff.
So
that was an indication.
So all the subjects I chose, either geography or physics, just had something to do with drawing, biology and stuff. So I got kicked out of business class because I didn't write my notes. I went to my art teacher, told her I want to join art class, and she said, sure, you can come, just do one test for me. So I did that test, passed it, and that's how I did art. Went to campus, was supposed to do interior design, but I changed and did illustration. And then I went to Power, met Swift and Robert at Power, and that's how I ended up doing graffiti and just doing art full time.
So what would you say is your work? What kind of characterizes it?
I love African symbols and afros and just like African roots and stuff. So I've been doing studies on West African symbols, tried to find Swahili symbols, couldn't find many, so I started creating my own symbols and alphabets and stuff.
Oh, so a lot of innovation in that too.
It's like a journey of finding myself and finding my culture. Yeah.
Which is great because now you're contributing to, you know, the whole art space and art scene
Yeah.
in a very different way, which is really great.
Yes,
But
yes.
I'll throw this out to all you ladies. Do you find it really hard to justify, like you always have to justify what you do?
Yeah. Well, I think now that I've been doing it for more than 10 years, I'm kind of not in that space too much, but occasionally I do. Yeah, especially when you're going through the dry season in the business, then the family is looking at you like, is this a job? So you always have to go like, yeah, it's a project, you know. So yeah, I do find that I do have. But when I was starting out, oh man, it was a constant conversation. Absolutely. Like I even had it memorized. My defense. Yeah, how you would answer. Yeah, like why are you quitting Daystar? Why are you quitting a reputable university to go to a film school in South Africa? Why? You know, and I had to justify what film was and why I wanted to go and study there. Of course, I learned a whole lot in Daystar, but you know, just the idea of why do they have to take me there, I had to create a whole proposal to my parents.
Wow. And it worked though, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really good for me because it helped me think like a business person rather than just being a dreamer, which usually artists tend to kind of fall into. Yeah. So, my family has pulled the business lady out of me with a fork and a knife, you know, like, yeah.
And Stephanie, for you, what was that like? Do you still have to kind of go through that? Because creativity is not like a 9-to-5 job where, this is what I've done for the day. Sometimes it can take months.
It takes exactly.
Yeah.
And no one understands the process. No one understands when you have a mental block or when you just don't feel like producing and someone's on you like, this is your job. How about, what do you mean? I'm paying you to do certain things. How about you deliver? Luckily enough, my family and so on understand, or rather supported me, because they always knew I've always been about art and music. But to this day, they're like, what does she do? She makes pretty pictures, or she's in marketing. They don't understand the creative aspect of it. So I think they've packaged it for themselves as it's marketing. Or it's pretty pictures, that's it.
And I guess for them, it's like a way we can actually understand what it is you do and categorize what you do so they can now tell others.
To tell others,
You know, for you, Janice, when it comes to, and you said, you know, you had to kind of put your name out there. Social media, which we're living that day and age, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it does.
But sometimes harder. You know, even in terms of kind of protecting your intellectual property and stuff like that. I know you go through that. But I mean, for you, how do you use it? How does it help or hurt you in growing your music career?
Social media helps me a lot because now, especially with this, the youth, we're all using social media, especially. It's like, it's the #1 marketing platform. So that's very, I mean, I get to share my music, people get to see it really quickly. And it's also very cost effective in that I don't have to spend so much money in trying to push myself out and everything. And feedback, you know, everything is just in one place.
Instant also,
so it really helps. In terms of hurting, I mean, I think as creatives, everyone is afraid of your property being, I guess, stolen.
Yes,
So, because especially now as starting artists, you know, anyone can decide to take your song and make it their own. And you wouldn't even know about it yet because you're not, you know. So, it's one of the things I worry about. But I mean, it really helps me more than it hurts me. It does.
No, that's good. I mean, social media, I guess, is one of those areas. It's almost like an animal that you have to tame and find a way of using it to your advantage. And that's something we'll talk about a bit later on in the show. Let's take a short break here on Victoria's Lounge. Keep the conversation going on social media. #Victoria's Lounge. We'll be right back.
Said I would be Bonnie, only you would glad me. Was I just a fool? Kiss me down a valley. Hold me, you're too charming. Yeah, I was a fool. I'm just trying to figure out why you lied to me. After all I gave to make you feel complete. Go on, you just turn away like you always did. Oh boy, your lies are only getting to my feet. I can't believe you. You need more than a redo. What was I thinking, being in love with you? I can't believe you. Thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. Yeah, I was so naive. Send me into a trance every time you say my name. What a fake, a grown man like you could be. I'm just trying to figure out why you drew me in. How could you let me go so easy? Is it all you wanted, baby? I'm tired of this questioning. What am I gonna do after I gave you everything? Everything. I can't believe you. You need more than a redo. What was I thinking, being in love? Yeah, I can't believe you. No, no. After all, no, I can't. After all, no, I can't let it go. No, I can't. No, I can't. After all, no, I can't. After all, no, I can't let it go. No, I can't. No, I can't. After all, no, I can't. After all, no, I can't let it go. Oh, yeah. After all, no, I can't. After all, no, I can't let it go.
Woo! Wow.
You.
That was beautiful, Janice. Come, have a seat. That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, your parents must be very proud.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Did they feel like when you first came with this proposition, hey, mom and dad, this is what I want to do? How did they take it?
Okay, actually, I hid it from them for a very long time. Because even when I was in Sauti Academy, they didn't know.
Wow.
And well into almost 8 months of me doing music, they didn't know. But once my gig started becoming public and everything, my mom just caught on because she's on Facebook too. Yeah. And at first they were like, you know, Iche, do you know what you're getting into?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? You know, this is such a public sector. I mean, things like that. Music doesn't pay. Are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, okay, well, stay in school, you know?
Right.
And then do music on the side. I'm like, all right.
Because you have some parents who will say, get that piece of paper first, and that'll be your fallback just in case.
Yes,
you
that's,
know?
yeah, they tell me that all the time. And
Yeah.
actually, I slipped out for a bit, but, you know, I think you learn the importance sooner or later
Right,
of
right.
doing that.
Yeah,
Going
having-
through a degree and going through uni and yeah.
Jella, I mean, for you, is it difficult trying to get your worth, getting paid your worth when you do a project, when you sell an art piece and people are trying to figure out, no, it shouldn't be that much. I mean, you know, how is it for you?
It's a bit hard coming up with cost because it depends on the project. Sometimes I can take 1 day to do something, then others take 3 days. So if I charge someone, let's say 50,000 for a day, be like, no, I can't give you 50,000 for 1 day. But they don't think about the creative process that came into bringing up the concept and stuff. And then someone can give you a t-shirt and expect you to do for 1 week. And then if you do it for 1 day, they'll be like, no, it's supposed to take a whole week. I can't pay you. You finished it faster. So sometimes it gets hard to get the worth you deserve. And then most clients go with, you don't have experience, you don't have this. But then I think I've put so much work into developing my style, so it doesn't go with the number of years I've done it. It goes with the amount of effort I've put in developing that style. So it gets hard sometimes.
And the fact that your work should speak for itself.
Yes,
regardless of how many years you've been in the industry or
Yes.
doing what you do.
Yes, true. Because $10,000 for some, it's different. I might reach mine before someone else because maybe faster. I don't know how people think about it, but I've put more hours in my work than my age and stuff. So sometimes it's just dependent on how fast you find your style, how fast you find yourself.
Very true. I mean, for you, you're in the film industry, and the issue of social media creeping in, pirating of content, how do you protect your stuff?
I don't think there's something like protection, you know, in terms of once your film gets out there, you know, there'll always be a bootleg copy somewhere being sold. I just think for me, that's why I can't do like a local film. Like, you know, you gotta diversify your market. And so I tell Kenyan stories, African stories to a global audience, because you find, like, for example, out there in Europe, in the West, they have such developed markets for film, and they appreciate the art so much. So they're willing to pay the dollar for it, and they're willing to not buy the bootleg copy because they're respecting your work. Unlike here, where we don't have a very strong film culture or a cinema culture, and so so I think the strategy you try and use is how you can get it to launch here, but also how you're going to get it out there.
Right. I mean, and have you found that we can actually get to that point? Could we ever get to that point where Kenyans appreciate our own art forms?
Yeah, I think we do. It's one step at a time, you know, and that's the thing I learned. I think in my 20s I was more impatient, you know. I was just like, you know, it's gotta happen now, and you know. But then I've just learned that, you know, some of the things I'm doing now, I might not be able to see the full fruits of it. I'm doing it for the next generation. So I think that has just become such a driving force for me. So I'm in a space where I empower, I do building capacity, I teach, because I'm like, I might not be able to see the fullness of it. I hope I do, but if I don't, I'm still okay. I just want to make it better for someone else, you know. So
You, Stephanie, I mean, as a woman creative, there are some challenges that are unique to you because you are a woman. I mean, what are some of those? And I hate to use that, but it is a reality.
It is. There are challenges just being a creative, and then you add on top being a woman. In agency, I found that the creatives are, like, I was the only girl amongst the creatives, and I found it was very much a boys' club. So I found I had to ignore parts of myself to fit in with the boys, and so that it's about the work. So they're not saying, oh, it's this pretty face, how are you doing, how you know? It's
that
about
happens in the creative space. I never
absolutely,
wow.
It does. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're a girl and you do graphics, fantastic. And then you show them their work and they're like, you did this? Like, for real? Who helped you? You know? You always get that connotation that, no, is it really you? So I end up having to work 3 times harder. And then I've had the experience where people around me were being promoted, and these are men, and I'm not having that discussion with anyone. I'm just being passed over, and then I end up doing the work of these people who are in power. So it got really frustrating.
Making them look good.
Essentially, and almost doing their job sometimes. Because there are times, because I've been there longer, I know what exactly the expectations and what the level is. But yeah, you just get looked over. And then because I was denying myself as a woman, like I stopped being feminine, I started wearing black. I was about the boys' club, you know, trying to fit in.
And it's so interesting that you say that there's also a physical look that you take on apart from rescinding characteristics that are feminine.
Yes.
No, and it's funny because we have to kind of do the same sometimes in journalism. I remember we had the same conversation with women in media. It was more or less the same thing when you go out into the field to have that same respect so you don't look like you're one of You have to, exactly. You have to kind of get in with the boys.
Yes.
Which is very unfortunate because you should still be a woman and still be respected for your craft.
Exactly. It's about the content I'm giving. It shouldn't matter what I'm wearing or how I'm speaking.
Exactly.
Or your ideas about my sexuality or whatever.
You know, and Janice, when it comes to chasing for money and being paid, I know that is an issue a lot of times, and you hear a lot of artists, musicians, we've covered them several times in the news, you know, fighting for royalties and you know, things like that. For you, what is it like having to always constantly, is it a fight to get paid what you are worth?
Okay, yeah, it is because people just want to be entertained, but no one wants to pay for it, you know? I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into becoming a musician or a singer, you know? I mean, years and years of training, it never ends. And investing in yourself, trying to build your skills so that you can put out something good. But then once you get out there and you're trying to put it out, same people who want to receive your skill or whatever you're giving out to them are not seeing the worth, you know? It's just difficult. People just want to be entertained, but no one wants to pay the entertainers.
The unfortunate bit. And I wonder now then if, because that seems to be a culture, is there a forum or even a union, a body that is advocating for the rights of artists locally? I'll just throw that out there. Does that exist? Or at least can you come together? You know, when you come in numbers, usually you have a bigger voice.
Right, absolutely. We have the government who are trying to support arts, but they're trying to do it in terms of spaces. So they're trying to build buildings and so on, but they're not addressing the artist. They're not creating programs that will help the artists grow, help them monetize, help them, you know, grow and help their community, which is why as a collective, we were trying to get, well, our mandate is to network all the artists because as creatives, we tend to work in, I work alone, you work alone, and we don't understand what's going on. So as a network, what we're trying to do is tap into different areas in Africa, and so that we can share the same problems, understand how we can grow things, and in that way you'll see that when we are unified, we'll be able with a stronger voice to say, hey, listen, this is how we grow, this is how we move forward. So we're trying to start programs and that sort of thing with the collective.
Okay, hopefully it yields some fruit, especially in this space.
In this space, absolutely.
And there's also the creative economy, which, you know, for the first time, I mean, I love what Mau Mau is doing also. It's a collective thing, you know, and the creative economy is all about tabling policies and things like that in place. Because you do need policies to enable the art to thrive, and so they've been doing a good job at doing that so that it's written in law, these things that enable, facilitate payment, contracts and things like that.
So the legal framework is necessary.
It is. Legal, the legal, the bills are important for us, the parliament bill.
So boring,
I know.
Necessary. Let's take a short break here in Victoria's Lounge. The conversation continues. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We'll be referring to a wonderful art piece that Chella has drawn, and she'll be telling us more about it as we go on through the conversation. But Gina, for you, I mean, you've been in this over a decade. Would you say it's been worth it?
Yes.
That was a long pause.
I know, I had to think about it because, you know, you have moments, because now we're in the process of getting the second film into production. And it's been like, a gestation of an elephant, you know. Like it looks like it's getting there, it's not getting there, you know. So, yeah, at this point it's just, you know, it's hard, but it's difficult, but, you know. But it's been worth it. It's been worth it. Honestly, I would say it's been worth it. I wouldn't change a thing. What
is it like, though? I mean, the nitty-gritties of it, because people see the whole glamorous aspect of being a filmmaker on set and everything, but it takes a lot.
A whole lot. As in, before we shoot a film, they don't know, like, you know, there was a process of like 8 months the writers were writing, you know, and then depending on the success of the first film, you know, it takes a year or two to find funding. Now, when you say that, people think it's occasionally waking up, and then trying to find funding. No, it's an everyday grind.
right.
Like you're talking to investors, you're rejected back, and you know, so there's a whole lot that goes in the background, and sometimes you just can't explain it, like it's boring. But you know, so for me, it's very sad that after you go through that whole process, then the bootleg industry comes and, you know, it's denying you the reward of the sacrifice that you have done. So it's really sad. And I'm not really against the bootleggers. I think it's a system of distribution that we can explore and create some accountability against it. So I think, okay, this is how people think they can consume film. Okay, how can we now legalize it and create a system of accountability with them?
Something to even think about before you get into that space is the money.
Is the money, of course. And you know, that's what my mom was trying to tell me way in my early 20s was that everything is kind of business, you know, and I was just like, let's run on the creative, you know. But then, you know, I've learned, and I thank God for my mentors, and I'm still learning. It's just how money works as a, you know, it's a blood to your body. You know, it's a blood to any creative work. And if you're not able to guard against that, then the creative work actually sinks. So I think I'm much better right now at balancing the money part of it and the creative part, because I really hated budgets. I just, you know, and then, you know, just for me to do my film, I had to sit down with budgets. I have to have a financial manager, you know, all that. And it's just, I must dip in creatively, but I must also understand building a business.
Very necessary.
Very, very.
I mean, Stephanie, you have been there, and you talked about your journey of making the shift from corporate into now your own thing. For someone who is in 9 to 5, they're in the job and they're thinking, I want to do my own thing. I'm a creative. I can't take this kind of environment. How would you advise them to actually make that move? Or is it possible to do it simultaneously?
I think it is. As creatives, we are naturally creative. You're going to create anyway. I think if you're struggling and you have the pressures, find a way to create that makes you happy. Create for yourself as well. That's one way to sort of balance the frustrations. I recently went on a trip to a cultural exchange to Uganda, and I met some MCs and people who are doing creative stuff. They're using they're MCing for social change, basically music and so on, to educate the community. But because that is not sustainable, they started farming as well. So it's about looking for other ways. You can do so many other things to get your income, but do your creative, because that's you.
That's interesting, because it's kind of bringing up that whole thing of being a creative entrepreneur. You know, and you're seeing a lot more of that now. And it's not being frowned upon as it probably would have been some years back, you know, that you can actually use your craft or just anything to make money as long as you're contributing.
Absolutely. And I think as a creative, as an artist, musician, whatever, even if you're not being paid for it and you keep doing it, it will somehow, things will work out. Don't think that you're stuck in a 9 to 5 and you have to pay bills in this certain way and so on and so forth. Be clever about your money. Start saving, have a plan B, have a side hustle, and then slowly things will work out.
I mean, Janice, even though you are, you know, growing your career on your own as a solo artist, just tell us how important it is to have networks, to have fellow musicians, to have fellow artists in your space, growing you, challenging you to really grow your career.
Yeah, it's really important, because I think without my peers in the music industry right now, I wouldn't be here. Because it's because of my peers that I first got into the studio, that every day I'm being called for gigs, you know. It's so important to be friends with these people and help each other grow and push for each other, because at the end of the day, you know, we're human beings and you need community and like a support system. And you get that from people who know what you're going through and are doing the same thing you're doing and understand you. And
I'm someone who's trying to figure out this whole creative space and creative thing. And I remember someone once asked, do I have to do one thing, like just a dancer or just an artist or just a singer? Can you be like a multi-platform artist, perhaps?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yeah, because like for me, I tried music. I can still do graffiti. Graffiti is a different art form. I can do body art. I'm planning on getting a djembe, so I can do very many things. So it's possible to do very many things.
And like you're talking about social media, there is so much content out there, but not there's no content. There's a lot of noise out there, and if you're
Right.
producing something that is valuable, that is authentic, you will get the attention that you deserve.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. A lot of noise out there, because a lot of times, and that's, I guess, the trap that many artists fall into is, am I being influenced by market forces and what people want, as opposed to me doing an art piece to say something?
We don't have that luxury yet, you know, because the reason I'm doing a film is I want to share part of my creativity to the audience. So I do value the research that the marketers bring back to me of what's popular, what's on the ground, and then I have to take that as an artist, right, and balance it and go like, okay, so this is it, this is what I want to do, how do I level this? So you kind of have an inner voice that kind of guides you into how much I'm going to allow the masses to influence what I'm going to do, and how much I'm going to just say, no, you can't go further than this. Yeah, so I strongly don't believe this whole idea of, you know, floating out to the audience what you want me to write.
Chella, you're in that space.
Yeah, it happens
what is it
a
for
lot.
you? Yeah.
Like someone will tell you, if you draw like this, you'll sell more. If you paint like Michelangelo, you'll sell more. But I don't want to do that.
Right.
I draw what I feel, but I also like put in feedback from the people.
Yeah.
So like for me, for instance, I draw women with long necks, Africans. So I always wished I had a longer neck, like the Turkanas and stuff. So I usually draw what I feel, but I got feedback from people, but I don't entirely change my style. Depending on what they tell me, it will sell, because I know art doesn't expire. I'm just trying to inspire someone using my art. So yeah, it will reach some audience, it won't reach everyone. I'm not trying to reach everyone, just the few.
Just the ones who will understand and appreciate.
Like she said, I think it's a balance, and I think that's what I'm learning too right now. And also with musicians that I've spoken to, that's what they're learning. That, I mean, it's a balance. You know, you create what comes naturally to you, but as well, you know, the people are your audience, and you, for them to keep being your audience, you have to give them what they want.
Yeah,
But
kind of like
it's a compromise,
It's important to get the feedback, because then you know what the issues that you need to address. You know how to talk to them, you know then how to hone it. It's still your idea, but it's now more digestible for them.
Right, like I can't ask them what's the next film I should shoot.
No.
You know? No, I mean...
Absolutely not. So then, basically you're, you know, rendered...
like
you know,
I'm just out to please you, but I can sit down and go, what are the trends? What am I feeling in this space as an artist? I'm like, okay, I feel I need to just write this story based on my observation of the society. And at that place, then they're like, oh yeah, we'd like to see this, you know?
And we're going to witness a creative process by Chella.
Yay.
Take us through what it is that you want to kind of convey through your art piece today.
Just as I said, I love drawing African women. So I'll just do a simple character sketch of a lady. I love drawing them closing their eyes to show like they're thinking of the future, or they're peaceful. There's just something about it when they close their eyes, like peaceful and stuff, meditation, and and I love afros. My afro refused to grow, so I decided to put dreadlocks. So just like rooted, and this woman who's rooted but still modern.
Right.
Yeah. Like in this time, but still rooted in her cultures and stuff. And the symbolism I've been trying to create, I hope someday people will study them and I'd share them with everyone.
Absolutely. I think I'm really excited by the fact that you have your own symbols. That is just
But they're still
awesome.
I'm still studying them, still creating them. Yeah.
Great. And we bring this conversation to a close. I hate to do it, but I loved it so much. Thank you to all my lady creatives. I feel my creative juice is flowing.
Oh, good.
It's been really, really good. And I hope for my viewers as well, you have too, and enjoy the conversation. Keep it going on social media, #VictoriasLounge. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Crown Plaza for hosting us. Have a wonderful evening, and let's do this again next week.
I know, please. Please. I have like an just like, you know, you'll never.
It's true because I mean, my sister
Love's
just
through
finished
with
her master's at Oxford. She did
me.
African studies, and she's like, Vicky.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you so much.
Oh.
Lovely in person. Like, you're absolutely great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.